Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Afsa Rosette. If you're new here, thank you for joining. If you return, thank you for sticking with me. If you are new here, make sure you like and subscribe to my channel. On my channel, I like to talk about all things locks, emotional healing and all that good stuff. So in order to kind of make sure I continue doing these things, I'd appreciate it so much if you could just subscribe and like this video and share as well in case it helps someone else. So in today's video, I'm going to be discussing the things I wish I knew before starting my lock and my healing journey. So if you are new here, as you know that I talk about all things emotional healing. I've also gone through my emotional healing journey. I'm an emotional healing coach. I specialise in helping women heal from emotional trauma. Alongside that, as I've also navigated my own healing journey, I started my lock journey, which has been, I'd say has its ups and downs, but I'd say more highs than lows. So I wanted to kind of go through some of those, what I wish I knew before starting both journeys, in hopes it helps you guys as well if you are starting on either your lock journey, your healing journey, or both. So if you see me, I might be looking down at my laptop because I've taken a few notes of some of the things I wanted to discuss briefly. So let's get into it. Now, before we start, please make sure you subscribe. I'd love to continue doing more of this because I enjoy talking about my own journey in hopes it helps someone else along the way. So let's get into it. I wish I knew. So number one is I wish I knew how the sizing of my locks would change as they mature. One of the things I wanted at the beginning, I really wanted thicker locks, and at the time when I first got them, I started with comb coils and they looked kind of like medium, and I wanted medium-sized locks. Looking back, I think the locks that I wanted were somewhat thicker than medium, but I guess that's very subjective and different people might think some locks are medium, some people might think they're large, some people might think large are medium, etc. So I wanted medium, and I went to the shop and I said I want medium locks, and then they gave me, I guess, these locks, right? But at the time, the comb coils, at the time when they first recorded them, they looked quite thicker, but I think it's because they're kind of like expanded and then slowly they shrunk. And I don't know, I mean, I'm 17 months in, I don't know whether my hair's gonna get any thicker than it is now. Who knows, they might not, but I have heard that your locks do thin as they mature, like over the years. So I mean, I'm 17 months in, still prematurely, still very much new to this journey. So I would think that mine will get a bit thinner than this, but I did want much thicker locks. So I wish I knew that the sizing would have been a bit thicker. I wish I knew in terms of the sizing and how some people might deem medium-sized locks to be quite thicker than what they appear to be. Like different opticians have different, I guess, methods and get different viewpoints in terms of the sizing, etc. The first thing I wish I knew was the sizing and how that they would change as they mature, because mine have significantly changed as they matured. And I mean, I'm okay with the sizing now, I suppose. I've kind of accepted them. And I've actually liked them. Let me not say accepted them because it makes it seem like, you know, when you say you've accepted something, it doesn't feel like you actually like it. But I actually do like my sizing. I feel like it's the perfect size because I'm able to do things. Sometimes when you go a bit thicker, even though I did like thickness, some styles 100% you can do, but like cameras, for example, I'd love to be able to do braids on the back corners going back on my locks, and I think that is doable with like medium-sized locks. It's definitely doable with thicker sized locks, but there's a lot more manipulation. So yeah, I wish I knew how the sizing of my locks would change as they mature, and maybe I would have been more open to either getting thicker locks or perhaps a little bit thicker than what I have now. I wish I knew that how I would change, and the things that I once liked were merely just a reflection of people that I'm around or have been around in the past. And I say this because so much of who I used to be was as a result of the people around me. I don't know for anyone watching this, if you can relate, but a lot of times growing up, I spent my time with friends that I found myself just adopting to their style, the things that I enjoyed, and I was never really, I would say, an individual per se. I was, but I never, there were things that I liked, but it was more so I kept quiet rather than showcasing them. Like, I really enjoy this, I like this, and be more radically honest in that sense. So since I started my healing journey, I feel like I can show up more authentically myself. It's still a process, and I think anyone watching this, if you are and if this does resonate with you, just give yourself some grace as you're going through your healing journey. Constantly constantly remind yourself when you do find yourself creeping up to old habits in the past where you might have either assimilated to what people were doing or saying, or making you feel like you should be. Remind yourself that no, I'm okay as I am, and I'll continue to do such. I'll continue to do things that align with who I am, even if you're not really there or don't understand where you are or what you like doing. Seek that. I would say continue to seek things that you enjoy doing. Continue to do things, explore things, so that you do figure out what you like. And so number 2, things I wish I knew. I wish I knew how simplistic it would be to have locks. I wish I knew that it doesn't really take a lot to start locks or maintain them at that. I mean, the maintenance is still there, it's still required, but it's not as much as it would be with either permed or natural hair. And I feel like if I had known this sooner, I would have started my locks much sooner. And the thing is, I never really went online and I searched or researched prior to until I made that decision to start locks. I never really looked into the maintenance or the process of starting locks. So for me, it always seemed like something very foreign that I thought was going to be very complex. Being here now, I realize how simplistic it is. And if anything, because I try to live a very minimalist life, I personally feel like it's the best journey for me and the best decision I would have ever made. So I wish I would have known sooner, prior to starting or prior to making that decision, that the loc journey is extremely simplistic. You read of my healing journey, I wish I knew, again, my healing journey is simplistic. It's about acceptance. I would say it's about accepting things as they are, and what is. So just to break it down a little bit, like a lot of times I found myself overthinking, over-analysing, over-explaining myself, rather than accepting things for what they were and what is. And for so long, because of doing that, I found myself analysing constantly, to a point where I was just irritating myself more so. I was battling my inner thoughts, and it was driving me insane. It was driving me crazy, trying to overanalyze what people were thinking of me, situations, etc., that were no longer serving my highest good. And for so long, because of doing that, I found myself anxious, depressed, and I wish that I had known that prior to start my healing journey, that the thing about healing is it's just surrendering and letting go and accepting what is and letting go of what isn't. And it sounds simple, but it literally is that. The sooner you acceptance is key. The sooner you accept, the easier your life will be. Because for so long we all constantly want to hold on instead of just releasing. And when you get to that point where you're just, you know what, I'm just releasing, I'm surrendering it to either the Almighty, I'm surrendering it to God, the universe, whatever it is that you believe in, it allows you to just be at peace instead of being in a conscious state of overthinking, which drives you insane. Which means it allows you to also understand that people can either coexist together or they can go their separate ways. And naturally, as you start to accept this, you understand that when people are not aligned with who you are, or you are not aligned with theirs, you just let it go. And you accept that naturally people are going to come into your life, because that's what life is all about. I've learned to accept that through life we're going to meet so many different people, so many different faces, so many different things, experiences that we're going to experience that are going to teach us so many lessons. When you learn that people are going to come in and either we're going to teach them or they're going to teach us, and then it's about just allowing them to either leave should they wish, or if we wish, you end up just being so much at peace. And for so long it's something that I really struggled with. I can't say I'm fully there yet, but it's a process that I've accepted to be a part of life, and I think it doesn't get easy. It doesn't stop getting harder. What it does do is it becomes much more, I'd say, easier to manage without it overwhelming you as such. So yeah, the third one of my loc journey, of the things I wish I knew, I wish I knew that I could have started them myself. And I say this because for so long, when I did eventually make that decision to start, I was there Googling, researching the latest loctician or the locticians near me. I was binging on all these videos. Looking back, I wish I had actually started with just, the natural, I don't know what you would call it, but it's just, there's no parting system. It's literally just you're picking and going. And for me, it just seems so much more easier because it's just more intuitive rather than just allowing someone else to pick for me. So I wish I could have been guided by my own intuition and started it myself, because it would have been so much more, I'd say, meaningful starting my own lock journey instead of allowing someone else to kind of dictate it for me, or how that should look like, just because it's one of the things I really want to be unchained from, generally, people choosing what is for me rather than me choosing what is for me. But you live and you learn, and there's nothing wrong with anyone that is choosing to go to a loctician. It's just something that if I had started, I mean, looking back, I wish I had started them myself. In terms of my healing journey, I feel like I wish I knew that I didn't need a therapist to heal. So I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with therapy. 100%, I would recommend it to everyone starting a healing journey if you have the means and privilege to do so. But I wish I knew that I didn't need a therapist. And at the beginning, I was caught in this state where I was like, damn, I'm in so much emotional pain that I need to get it out, and I don't know how to. And until I got to that place where I was at rock bottom, I thought, you know what, let me seek a therapist. And that was the only way out at the time, because I guess I never really had anyone that I could talk to or confide in about what I was going through. And a lot of times I didn't really understand what I was going through. So a therapist is important and paramount if you're at that stage where you're not really sure what you're going through. You don't know where to kind of like pinpoint the areas, like this is what's going on, or understand why. A therapist is definitely key. And for me, I was at that stage. So, but then I also wish that I understood that it would have been good to start with a therapist, but also ensuring that I'm doing the work on myself. For so long, I was solely reliant on my therapist that I didn't understand that there's so much work outside of therapy that needs to be done. And had I spent more time doing the work outside of therapy, I feel like I would have accelerated my healing journey significantly more. Because I personally feel like just because you're going to a therapist doesn't mean you started your healing journey. So it doesn't mean just because you're going to therapy you're healing. So healing is done outside of the therapy room. The therapy room is just like it's just step one in terms of for you to understand. But in order to start the healing journey now, you need to do the work. I say this to say because we often think we need something external from ourselves to help us either heal, find ourselves. We always seek to what's external. And that's why I feel like you don't need a therapist. That you don't need to search to seek what's outside of you to find what's in you. It can help you understand somewhat the generalization of concept of mental health. But in order to really get you, you need to seek you. And I know it probably doesn't really sound, I'm probably not making sense, but I say this to say, for so long I found myself seeking external people from people outside of myself for their validation, or perhaps needing someone to either be here so that it can help me embark on my healing journey or make it easier for me. But I realized that by doing that, I was still not finding me. I was still not tuning into what does Afsa like, what does Afsa want, what is good for me. And I found myself staying in the same positions, the same situations, the same people come into my life to teach me the same lessons. That Afsa, ultimately, all you need is yourself. And you need to discover you, even if it's the most painful experience that you're going to have to go through to find that. That's what you're going to be put through to get to a place where I found myself now, you know what I mean? So just to add, in fact, I spoke about this on my TikTok TikTok the other day. One of the things that helped me understand that and get to my healing journey is understanding my why. And I say this because when you are allowing external people, external things around you dictate or perhaps help you in the ease of your healing journey to make it easier for you, or somewhat you feel like, oh, if only I had this. We're always in a state of seeking an external person, or just trying to have rather than accepting what is and also accepting us. I had to try and get to a place where, what is my why? And in understanding my why, I started to let go of things and people that were no longer good for me, and also not seeking those people to validate my healing journey. Because sometimes I was like, okay, I've got kids, for anyone that is new on here. I've got children, and I'd love to have a beautiful family unit, have a partner to support me and my family. But again, it was always that, a partner to support me and my family, when really it was someone that I can coexist together, that we can kind of grow together, rather than someone that can support. It was always someone that can support me and my mental health, someone that can do this. And because of that needing of that, I found myself constantly in a state of unhappiness, because I was seeking happiness outside of me rather than being accepting what is, which goes back to my previous point, accepting what is, and how healing is so simplistic if we allow ourselves to just accept the present moment for what is and enjoy and bask in it. I wish I'd better prepared myself for the negative connotations that would come with it, along with the fetishization, because that's one thing that I feel like I've experienced so much more from either people that look similar to me. I've experienced the whole fetishization of women with locks. I wish I was better prepared for that, because that's something I never really thought I would experience, because I guess it's somewhat different to when I had natural hair. I feel like the natural hair was more the opposite, but now with my locked hair, it seems somewhat like I'm getting fetishized because of my locks, or someone's assuming that I'm spiritual. I personally feel like I am anyways, but regardless, that shouldn't take away from you just seeing me as a person rather than just seeing me as something to just label. I try to just not label myself as such. Things I wish I knew about my healing journey as well is, I wish I knew that healing is expansive and it's not linear prior to starting. And I think if I had known this, it would have made my healing journey so much more easier, because I would have gotten to a state where I wouldn't beat myself up about either falling back into old patterns, thinking I'm not healing. Because for so long, like when I either entertain situations, connections with people that perhaps don't go the way that I would have liked them to go, or they don't last or whatnot, I beat myself up about perhaps thinking, oh, why did I let that happen, or why wasn't I better prepared? And you can never really fully better prepare yourself for anything in life. Like you can't fully, there's so much, there is work that you can do to make sure that you do better once you learn, right? But you also have to recognize people are also coming in as themselves. So as much as you are preparing yourself, how do you know what's to come? How do you know that you're going to meet someone that's going to be like X? They might not be like your ex partner, but they might have other things that might that you still need to kind of figure out and see in someone else and realize, you know what, this isn't for you. So for so long, I'd either beat myself up for either situations at work, situations of people, family, friends, where I find myself thinking, damn, I haven't really healed, or I need more healing, or damn, like where imposter syndrome starts to kick in. But then I recognize that that's not what healing is about. Healing is about recognizing when you fall short and allowing yourself to still continue, allowing yourself to still push through, even when you feel like, damn, I've messed up, or damn, I could have done better. And I've had my moments where I felt that way, but I realized that those moments are not gonna stay that way, because I'm not gonna allow myself to stay down, because I'm learning. It's all a process, and when you recognize that we are all human beings navigating life and there's no right or wrong way of doing things, it's about allowing yourself to do them, learn from them, letting them go, healing and growing from them. You become more in tune with things that are happening, and you can release them when they're no longer working for you, and you don't judge yourself as harshly when those limiting beliefs creep up again. So I wish I knew that these were going to be some of the consistent thought patterns that I was going to experience, and it would have prepared myself. I would have prepared myself to realize that it's going to be okay. And I think it's simply that it's okay, and reaffirming this to myself constantly. Yes, you could say I wish I knew how to stop comparing my locks to others. I wish I knew how to stop comparing my locks to the people that I was seeing online. I wish I stopped binging. I mean, for anyone on here, if you are looking at my locks and perhaps you think, oh, I like her locks, this is a reminder for you that you can be inspired but still take your journey of what works for you, rather than thinking, okay, I want that. Because I see this a lot, like with regards to the lock count. Oh, I want this particular lock count, I want that. And it's about understanding that we all have different lengths, densities, textures, patterns, hair patterns, etc. And ours might look different to someone else, and that's okay. But accepting what ours is, and that's what self-love is. That is literally top tier self-care and self-love, where you can accept your differences and be inspired by someone, but still allow yourself to embark on your own journey that aligns with who you are and where you are at the time. So I say this to say, sorry, I'm losing my voice and I'm really thirsty, but I don't have no water in me. I say this to say, for my healing journey now, I wish I stopped comparing where I am to others to the way others were looking like or showing up in their own healing journey. I wish that I had stopped and thought, you know what, everyone is going through it. We're all navigating life very differently. Like some are doing some things different to me and likewise. And the more I spoke to people, I realized that they're also too trying to figure things out, and that is okay. And through accepting this, I started to not beat myself up so much about comparing myself and thinking this person is so much more ahead than I am, or they're doing so much better along their healing journey than I am. And this also applies to regards to even other journeys, whether it's your career, whether it's fitness, whatever journey that you're on. Don't compare yourself to someone else, because they're not dealing with the same battles that you have dealt with, and vice versa. So allow yourself to accept it for what it is, and allow yourself to just enjoy yours, embrace the new, let go of the old, and give yourself some grace. Well, if you've made it to the end of this video, thank you for watching. I feel like I've kind of spoken for a long time, but thank you so much for joining today's video. If you have enjoyed it, please make sure you subscribe and like this video. I'd love to do more content like this. I've enjoyed talking about it, because talking about it and writing it down today just made it a bit more, I'd say, more real in terms of how my journey has been so far, because I made sure I took notes before this. And if any of this resonates and you are on your lock or healing journey and you need some more advice and tips, check out my healing journal. I've got a healing journal. I'll link it in the description below. It's my link tree to get your free healing journal. And I say this because journaling has been so paramount for me in my healing journey, as well as my lock journey, because it allowed me to just embrace the present and document everything that I'm going through. So looking back, I can look back at, okay, this is where I was at, and this is how much progress I've made. I feel like when you can kind of go through life, we sometimes go through life constantly on a trajectory going forward, and we miss out on allowing ourselves to understand how far we've come. So from time to time, I like to look at my windscreen rear view mirror to just kind of like understand, okay, that's how far I've come, and I respect it and I embrace it, and I'm so grateful for how far I've come. So this is just a reminder for you, whatever stage you are in, give yourself some grace, enjoy the process, and this is what life is all about. So I hope you've enjoyed this video today. Please make sure you subscribe, like this video, and I'd love to see you in the next one. If you have enjoyed it, please check out my next videos and let me know what you think. Peace and love.